be a top listing agent, it is almost imperative that you dominate a geographic farm. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to dominate a geographic farm. The first thing is determine the farm that you're going to market yourself in. And this is very, very key and critical. And there's a couple of things I like to always recommend. Number one, have an emotional involvement with the farm that you're going to work in. Be connected to it. Be a place that you want to live or a place that you just really get excited about as a salesperson. Number two, check with your title rep on turnover. This is key because there's no sense in working a farm that nobody's moving or buying into. Number three, what is the price point you want to work in? I like two farms. I like a bread and butter and I love a high end. The bread and butter actually helps me market to the high end, and I think those two work really, really well together. Also, how big should your farm be? I think this kind of relates to your budget. So I like to go big. I always go risk. But if you're a little bit tighter with your money, then choose a farm that works into your budget. Commitment to a farm is very important, and you need to commit for at least 12 months. So many people just start and stop. And this is where I think most people fail to develop any market share at all in a farm. How often are you willing to door knock it? How often are you willing to mail into the farm? How willing are you to become involved in community events, not only in money, but in time? These are things that you need to think about because farming is a huge commitment. But if you want to be a dominant listing agent, farming today is critical. How are you going to be visible in that farm? And how are you going to be the person providing value to the farm? These are all questions that you need to ask. But some of the things you can do is you can do community events around, zoning changes. You can get political, or you could go into, cleanup days, trash removals. There's all kinds of ways that you can support the farm in ways that the community enjoys. Another key is to tie your lead generation levers into your farm. For example, how are you going to do your open houses in your farm to make sure that you get signs everywhere and that you're visible every weekend? Greet and meet neighbors, invite them to your open houses, and have great signage so that people know it's your farm. Look like you dominate it. One of the great tricks to getting into a farm is to do what I call the backdoor method, and that is to go in through leases. If you can go in and pick up leases and get your signs everywhere, no one's going to know the difference. They're going to think you're the dominant agent in the farm just purely by signage. That's why signage is so important. Expireds are a great way to get into a farm. So as other agents lose listings, see where they made their mistakes. Dig into the flaws of their marketing, and then go to the seller and show them how you can do it differently and why they should list with you, and you'll pick up some expired listings that way. I always recommend door knocking. If you do door knocking, mailers, and open houses in a farm, you're going to have 3 touch points that are going to be very, very visible and very noticed by the neighbors. And finally, we call it circle prospecting, and that's where you prospect around your open house. You prospect invites to events around the event, and you send out just listeds and just solds every time you make a sale or you take a listing. These are some of the key ways to getting into a farm and dominating it. I've emphasized that you have to have a farm to be a key listing agent, but more importantly than all of that is if you decide to do a geographic farm, it's all about commitment. It's about discipline, and that's how you will dominate in the end.